Hi, this is Dale, and we're back to talk about some key concepts for Chapter 10 before we get into actual problems. So, the topic of the chapter is hypothesis testing, and it's the second form of statistical inference. The first form was estimation, and we covered that last week in Chapter 9. And here's some key concepts you should keep in mind as we go through hypothesis testing. First, there are two hypotheses, the null and the alternative. The null is also pronounced H naught, and then the H1, the alternative, or sometimes known as the research hypothesis. So those are the two things, and the equal sign goes with the null hypothesis, and the procedure begins with the assumption that the null hypothesis is true. And you could think of it like a defendant in a criminal trial. They are innocent until proven guilty. And the third key concept to keep in mind is the goal is to determine whether there's enough evidence to infer that the alternative hypothesis is true. So we assume that the null is true unless we have enough evidence to infer that the alternative hypothesis is true. And the fourth key concept is there's two possible decisions. One, we can conclude that there is enough evidence to support the alternative hypothesis, or two, we have to conclude that there is not enough evidence to support the alternative hypothesis. So again, it's all based on the alternative, not on the null. And there's two possible errors that can be made. The type 1 error is the alpha, and that's to reject a true null hypothesis. And the type 2 error is to do not reject a false null hypothesis. And they kind of work in inverse. So if you increase the amount of the alpha error, then you decrease the beta error, the type 2. So if you increase type 1 error, you decrease type 2 error. If you decrease the possibility for a type 1 error, you increase the possibility for a type 2 error. So we'll see this, some of these concepts as we go through and actually solve a problem, but I just wanted to give you that introduction.